In 1969, the University of Nebraska hired the first paid strength and conditioning coach. And since then, university athletic departments, pro teams, and individual athletes have sought out the best and most innovative strength coaches to gain the competitive edge. In recent years, we've seen an increase in the demand of strength and conditioning coaches outside of the athletics world. And we're seeing the title strength and conditioning coach thrown around more and more in the general fitness industry. So then, what is a strength coach? What makes them unique? And how does one earn the title of being called a strength and conditioning coach? That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with what is the role of a strength and conditioning coach. And take note here that I'm going to use the term athlete and sport. Change that to whatever field you work in, whether it be client or individual or group. To start, we have two main goals. And the first one is probably the obvious one. It's to improve athlete performance through scientifically based programming and implementing of workouts. But let's take a closer look at what that actually means. We start by conducting a needs analysis. We determine what the most important goals are for our group to train for. We then write them a comprehensive plan tailored for whatever season or phase that they're in. And in this step, we take into account what recovery they may need. And then we can implement the plan. So we use the term implement because that can look very different depending on what the group you're working with is. For example, when working with beginners, there's always going to be a lot of teaching and education involved in implementing a new workout. Some coaches may take this to an extent where it almost looks like a lecture class rather than a workout. Some may fall moderately in between that. But in any case, there's usually going to be a start with PVC pipes or lightweight bars or light weights or no weight at all to ensure that the athlete knows the correct movement pattern, that they can complete the correct movement pattern, and that they understand why they're doing that movement pattern before they're allowed to advance. In comparison, when working with advanced athletes who are familiar with the coach and familiar with the movement patterns already, implementing a new workout may look like a quick brief with the opportunity to ask some questions, and then the coach circulating around the weight room, making sure that the movement patterns are still being completed correctly, and then cueing individuals on technique. Through implementation, we then go into evaluation. Coaches are always evaluating their programs. And although we may see a few minor tweaks or adjustments, it's very rare to see large changes within a training block. One of the goals of a block is to retain a certain amount of consistency throughout it. Most of the time, any major changes are going to come in future training blocks. The second goal of strength and conditioning is injury prevention. Now, as of recently, this one has become highly contested. I'm still going to cover it because it is still clearly written on the NSCA, the CSCCA, and ACSM's websites, and those are the three pretty much governing bodies of strength and conditioning. And yes, we fully understand not every injury is preventable. For example, the football player taking a helmet to the side of the knee, there's nothing any coach can do to prevent that. A lot of what we mean by injury prevention is preventing those chronic injuries that show up on injury reports. Things like shin splints and tendinitis and muscular imbalances and impingements. Things that occur because of overtraining and progressing too quickly, and not having a sufficient range of motion for basic movement, and varying muscle recruitment due to the demands of certain sports or certain positions within a sport. Up next, let's talk about a few things that make strength and conditioning coaches unique. First, strength coaches have the ability to work with large groups while keeping their programming scalable for both beginners and advanced lifters. It's not uncommon to see 50 athletes in a weight room or over 100 athletes on a field working on agility and sprints under the supervision of a strength coach. Strength coaches also often work closely with athletic training to scale and implement rehabilitation workouts for injured individuals. A second unique quality of strength coaches is we typically are most concerned about our athletes' performance. This means everything we program should positively impact our athletes' ability to perform or their longevity in the environment in which they compete in. This differs from the general fitness setting where the main motives for training often revolve around appearance, cardiovascular health, or maximizing strength based purely off of numbers. Now, I mentioned in the intro that we're hearing the term strength and conditioning coach thrown around a lot more in the general fitness industry. So let's take a look at what it actually takes to become a strength coach. The main requirement is to hold a certification. And there's a few floating around out there, but right now there's really only 2 that most positions will accept. There's a third one that has some contingencies involved, and I think we're going to save that one for another video. The 2 that we see accepted the most often are the Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist from the National Strength and Conditioning Association, and the Strength and Conditioning Coach Certified from the Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association. Like many professions within the sports medicine and athletics worlds, these 2 certifications require at least the completion of a bachelor's degree. They also require the coach to maintain a current professional CPR AED card. Both of these certifications also require the completion of continuing education credits on a 3-year rotation, or for the coaches to resit for the examination, to ensure that certified individuals are staying up to date on the newest research, changes in the profession, performance needs, and best practice. Click the link hovering here to find out about the 4 main training goals. Let me know in the comments below what topics you want me to cover next. Please like and subscribe so we can share this information with more people. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye!